and welcome back to the Shaanah Montanna YouTube channel. And today we are here for episode 3. And today's episode is titled Digital Detox, Taming That Technical Beast. Because we know there are a lot of people, maybe I was included once upon a time, not no more, but there are a lot of people that live, breathe, and die by social media. They cannot wake up without getting on Facebook. They cannot go to sleep without getting on Instagram. You see them out with family and friends, people on a date, everybody on their phone on social media. You out, you supposed to be interacting with people in front of you, but you worry about the people in your phone. These are people that have FOMO, fear of missing out. They can't really function and do anything the way that they want to do it in regards to achieving goals because they are so consumed in social media. And social media is taking too much of your time. And that is a huge reason why you are distracted and you did not accomplish all those goals in 2023 that you could have. Because you need to put the phone down. You need to log out. You need to refocus. You need to recenter yourself. And you need to decide, do I want to continue pouring into other people and their goals and their dreams by being on social media and liking their pictures and buying their stuff and commenting on their stuff? Or do I want to log off? I mean, not saying you can't do that because we want to support one another. But do I need to log off and focus on what goals and dreams and things that I have that people can engage in and interact with and help me push forward to catapult me to the place of my life that I desire and the place that I truly deserve? So ultimately, what we have to do in this situation is you have to be able to acknowledge if you are a person, and only you will know this, if you are a person that recognizes that you need to do some real self-evaluation around your use of digital things, primarily social media, this is the episode for you. So the first thing is going to be that self-evaluation, just acknowledging, like, I mean, I think we know these days the iPhone has a wonderful thing in the settings that will tell you how much phone usage you have on certain apps. And so I get a log, at least I think it's on Sundays, it comes through and tells me that my screen time, it'll say your screen time was this amount, it was up this week, it was down this week, whatever the case may be. And I know when I have certain things going on, like right now I'm really pushing forward with my brand, so I am on my phone more often than not. But more so, I'm a person that I get on my phone, I post what I need to, I'll go through, double tap a couple things, respond to certain comments, and I get right back off. I'm not always on that phone because I have other things that I need to do. Like right now, I'm recording this episode. I can't be on my phone. And when I get done recording this episode tonight, I gotta do some editing of some stuff. I have to upload some stuff, and I have to prepare for what my day is gonna be tomorrow and the rest of the week. You know, we had today off, so it was a wonderful thing for me to get up, get ahead. But I made it my focus. Like, I'm not going to get distracted. I'm gonna stay focused on the things I need to get focused on. I have this day off of work. This is a great day for me to knock a lot of things out. And that's exactly what I did and what I'm going to continue to do. So I think you have to be able to just look at the circumstances around you. You know, are you in control of social media, or is social media controlling you? What do you think you would do if right now somebody took your phone and said, I'm going to take all social apps off your phone. You can't even get on the internet, and you can't do it for a week. Do you think that's something you will honestly be able to do? If you are a person, some people are like, yeah, I can do it. 5 minutes in, child, you're going to have the shakes because you're talking about you could do it and you really cannot. So if you are a person that is going to be honest with yourself and recognize that you are on that phone too much, and a lot of times what drives us to be on that phone so much is because we are so consumed and almost like daydreaming about what we could be doing or what other people are doing, to the point that it just leads us away from what we are supposed to be accomplishing. Because as things come down your timeline, you're going to sit there. You're going to be comparing, you know, how they get that many followers, how they get that business, how they get this, how they get that. The other thing is, you know, how did they do that? I want to do that, or I think I want to do it, or was it something that just came down my timeline, you know, and now I think I want to be a chef because I just keep seeing videos on that. Or we tend to look at, dang, how that, you know, we're the same age, from the same city, you know, or we live in the same city, how they get ahead of me, how, you know. So it's like we can look at social media and you just get warped into this person that social media has pulled you into, that world in a way where you've forgotten about the world that is right in front of you. And what it comes down to is that you need to be taking the time to log off of social media, take all the energy and effort, the hours, because you don't even realize it, but you're on social media for hours a day. The hours that you are putting into other people, you need to be dedicated to pouring that into yourself if you are serious about yourself. Now, if you want to play with yourself, that's on you. you cut the episode off right now. But if you're serious about yourself, you need to do what it takes to move differently and move accordingly. So the first step in this is being honest with yourself, just identifying, do I have an issue where I am over consuming social media? And many people are. So if you are that person, the next thing is going to be what can I do effective immediately to get a hold on this, to start working on this? Because I'm not saying that you can even go cold turkey and say, okay, well, effective tomorrow for the rest of January, I'm going to log off of social media, I'm going to deactivate, and I'm going to make it my own dry January in regards to social media. Now, some people can do that, but I don't know if that's going to be best for everybody. If you're a person that works for you, great. But if it's not, we're going to talk about more so gradual steps to get there. So the first thing is going to be setting boundaries around social media. You need to designate tech-free zones and free time. So what that comes down to is saying, I would say when you first wake up in the morning, I don't know what your rituals are, what your routines are, so I'll just speak to my personal experience and you can see what you can pull from this. So when I wake up in the morning, the first app that I always open is my Bible app. I open my Bible app, I read the verse of the day. I'll typically read, I have quite a few Bible plans in there. I'll read a couple of passages from one of my Bible plans, and then I get out of the bed, do my morning routine, wash my face, brush my teeth, and I get ready to head out to go to the gym. I go to the gym. The only thing at that point that I'm on my phone for is to cut on music in my car. When I get to the gym, I'm really big on not being in social media there. Like I always, for my accountability posts, y'all know, I'll post that I'm at the gym, and typically I'll play like whatever the vibe of the day is. I'll post that on my Instagram stories. So I'll make those two posts on my Instagram stories because that is a part of my brand with accountability and wellness and lifestyle. And I want people to see that and be encouraged and motivated to do it. But while I'm in the gym, typically for an hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm not on social media. I don't get distracted in the gym because also I have to make sure I get my full workout in and I get home in time enough to get to work because I do work from home. And so I just don't have time to be distracted in there. So that's in the beginning of the day. You can say from 5 to 7:30 a.m. I'm not on my phone in that way. So I get home and I take my shower. I log on for work. Typically, at that point, I'm still not logging into social media. At 9:30, most times, unless I plan for later, that's my first post of the day. I log on, I'll post, I'll do about 10 to 15 minutes of engagement as far as responding to comments, DMs, things of that nature. I get back off. And I go back to work. And I typically post for Between My Brains about 3 times a day. So most times I'm posting it like 9:30, between 12 and 1, and somewhere between 4 and 6 at night. So throughout that, as I go throughout the day, I have a thing where my boundaries are, I don't have any notifications on my phone to alert me that anything is happening with my social media. Like I've said this before, only notification I get is a icon that shows I have text messages that have popped up. I don't have anything that's going to pop up to distract me. So I'm really serious about creating that boundary of not being on social media all day, even though I work from home, and not being engulfed in that. So when I take 2 15-minute breaks and an hour lunch like everybody else, I use that time to get on social media. So I take my break, I'll get on social media. During my hour lunch, I'm going to get on social media, even if I want it for the whole hour. That's my time to be on social media. And my favorite apps are TikTok and Instagram. So I kind of go back and forth between there. So then when I get off work, I decompress typically from 5 to 6. That's my social media time. And then I get to the business of what I have to do, whether it be content, something outside of the home, whatever the case may be. And then at night, before I go to bed, between 8 and 9, because my cutoff time for devices is 9 o'clock, because I need to wind down. Because if I don't, the last thing I was watching or listening to on social media is going to be in my head, and I'm not going to be able to sleep. So by 9 o'clock, I'm off my phone. I'm done with social media for the night. So my boundaries are in the fact that I designate certain times of the day that I'm going to be on my phone. In regards to social media, and I don't step outside of that. But that has taken time and discipline for me to identify that. And I think the other part for you to look at is if you need something that may be a little bit more restricted, they do have, I know on iPhones, where you can set daily limits on how much time you want to spend on certain apps or certain categories, and social media is one of them. So I would recommend, if you're a person right now that knows that social media is a distraction, set yourself a limit. You don't have to say I'm gonna set just 1 hour a day and go, that's pretty much going cold turkey. You may say I'm gonna give myself 2 hours a day for social media, and then once you're done with that 2 hours, what happens is the app kind of dims out, and if you try to go in it, it'll pop up and let you know that it's restricted, but they can open it for you for 15 minutes or indefinitely for the rest of the night. So it's like, we'll let you get in with a little sneak peek. But let's see, my phone was flipped up. I saw something, that's why I have it down. we'll let you in with a little sneak peek, or do you want to just say F this limit and go all the way in? So again, your phone is even trying to help you because the phones recognize we spend so much time on social media. So that's the first thing when it comes to identifying if you have a problem with social media. The first thing is, and if you have identified that you have a problem with social media, the first thing is going to be establishing some sort of boundaries around your social media usage. Social media should not be the first thing that you are opening up every single day when you wake up, nor should it be the last thing that you are looking at when you go to bed. Actually, when you wake up, you should be looking at your Shaanah Montanna journal and going to sleep with your Shaanah Montanna journal. But if you're not even doing that, at the end of the day, you need to figure out, what does my morning routine need to look like without social media? What does my bedtime routine need to look like without social media? What does my day need to look like throughout the day without me being so heavily consumed in social media that it's stopping me from meeting my goals? So you need to recognize that, and recognize if you are being pulled in, like we talked about in episode 2, if social media is that much of a distraction that it pulls you from so many things, you need to do some deeper digging to figure out why that is, and why social media is able to have more control over you than you're able to have control over getting to the things and the destinations that you say you want to get to. The next thing is going to be app management. I challenge you today to go through your phone. Let me show y'all. To go through your phone and eliminate all those apps that you are not using. So I'm a person that, this is my main screen. I don't know if y'all can see it, but I have all my apps kind of categorized in there. Y'all can kind of see that. But I do have a lot of apps on my phone. But something that I do regularly is I go through and because I have them all in different folders, and I make sure that if there are any apps on my phone that I am not using regularly, that I go ahead and delete them. So if it's an app that is timed out, because I need some storage on this damn phone, but if it's an app that's grayed out because I haven't been using it due to storage, y'all know how that goes, I'll go ahead and delete that app. It's no need for me to just keep it on there taking up space. But when it comes to social media, whether it be, like I mentioned, Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, whatever the case may be. Next thing would be app management, and that will come down to identifying and minimizing time wasting apps. So you need to take a look at your phone and recognize that it is sometimes bigger than social media. I don't know if people still play Candy Crush, but I know that Candy Crush had people in a chokehold at one time or another, and I know there are a lot of other apps out there like that. So I would recommend, honestly, you need to go cold turkey on those. If you have those apps out there like the Candy Crush or the Toyland or the puzzle games or whatever, it's sometimes you have certain apps on your phone because they are things that allow you to have a breather and kind of maybe take your mind off of stuff. I know at one point I was playing, it was like Candy Crush. It was some kind of jewel game. I can't remember. But I remember I downloaded that app because I was going through something at the time, and it was a good distraction. So I would play that game. It was a good distraction. Did y'all hear what I said? I would play that game to distract myself from dealing with the worry and the problem that I had going on, when in reality, I should have just dealt with the worry and the problem that I had going on. Because I was about to say, if you need to leave the app on there sometimes as a distraction, what in the whole hell? No. If you have apps on your phone right now, whether it be social apps, game apps, whatever the apps may be that you use as a distraction, delete those apps from your phone right now. Get those apps off your phone. They are counterproductive to what we are trying to do. But the other part is, you don't need every social media app on your phone if you are not using it. But also, I challenge you to think about, what's your favorite one? If Facebook is your favorite one, delete the others. If Instagram is your favorite one, delete the others. Right now, try to limit yourself to have just one social media app on your phone, because that also will help you not jump at night. I know sometimes if I'm here on the weekends, I'm jumping from Instagram to TikTok to Snapchat to Facebook to Twitter to Threads. I could go on a cycle for 2 hours just watching everybody else's content when I'm sure it's something else that I could be doing instead. So I challenge you to delete those time-wasting apps off of your phone right now, because they are not serving you. And then the next thing is going to be mindful tech use. Decide if you are able to be mindful of the time that you are spending on social media and playing those mindless apps and being on that phone, or if you need to have a digital detox. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to you to decide, Can I balance this, or do I need to just deactivate overall? I know there are some people that I've talked to recently that have recognized they need to deactivate for a lot of reasons, because it's so true. And you have to think about this. And this is another moment throughout this series. You all have to have honest conversations with yourself. It's not saying reach out to me, anybody else, and tell me your deepest and darkest thoughts. But I think ultimately, if you are in a space where you were distracted in 2023, and you know that you want 2024 to be better, and you know you want to achieve these goals, you want to knock out these business goals, you want to make this money, you want to meet this person, you want to do these things, you have to be honest about, in what capacity is social media serving you, other than just having it and being on your phone. Because as I mentioned earlier, if you're on social media, sometimes it is natural to compare your journey and your situation to other people, your situation to other people's, and get discouraged. Sometimes it's natural to wonder, coulda, woulda, shoulda, if I had did this in 2023, would I have been where that person is? Sometimes it's natural to look at situations and think that people are doing better than you, and get discouraged and not even want to go forward in what you're trying to do. Sometimes social media is just there to to inspire you in a way to let you know what is possible. And you may see things like, oh, I see, Shaanah started a journal collection. I think that's really cool. I want to start one too. But then sometimes we get so caught up in paying attention to what they have going on and engaging in their content that we never get to the point where we start our own thing, our own journal collection. We never get back to ourselves. So essentially, what you have to be able to do is just to recognize, like, is social media and all these different apps on my phone, just the digital world. The digital world is a part of the fabric of who we are in 2024. But you have to be able to look at it and say, is social media serving me? Or am I serving social media? Is social media overtaking my life? Like, is it taking precedent? Am I talking to the social media gods more than I'm talking to the man above? Am I so enthralled? Am I so overcome with being on social media that I can't even go out and hang with my friends and family or go on a date without being on my phone? Am I so consumed with social media that if I deactivated social media, I wouldn't know what to do? I think these are questions that we have to honestly ask ourselves, because again, we get that social media is a beautiful thing. We can use it for good. But at the same time, if you have social media and you know that you are spending an excessive amount of time on social media, and you are not spending an excessive amount of time or enough time on your own business ventures and goals, then what are you really doing? And what is your plan to do something different? So I think that today's homework is really going to come down to you deciding, do you need to take a social media break? Because if you've identified your distractions and you recognize that in your top 3 distractions, social media was one of them, and then you recognize that in your process of using your journal to become distraction free, and writing out, it may be in the morning or the evening when you're trying to write, you're always going back to pick up that phone and you're getting distracted. Or you recognize that when you are journaling, your phone is what distracts you, or those apps and sounds going off, activating. That's nothing. Turn the sound off. You don't need to hear that. Those are indicators that could bring you to the point you are right now to know that, yeah, I may need to do a social media detox. But if you do a social media detox, because I've done it before, I used to have a very much so love-hate relationship with social media. Like, I would literally deactivate for like months at a time because it can be overwhelming. But I found a new balance in how I use social media now. But many times, I can promise you from my own experience, I'll tell you, if you deactivate from social media, I promise you, you are not missing anything. You're not missing anything important, because you go and look at other videos I've talked on, that we, when it comes to things that friends and family have going on, be intentional with that communication offline anyway. So you can keep up with friends and family. You can keep up with what's going on in the world, because you still have news and things of that nature. You're still going to be getting emails from businesses. So you're going to miss out on the mess. You're going to miss out on what the shade room posting, no shade. You're going to miss out on foolishness. But isn't that what's not supposed to be your focus anyway? Aren't we supposed to be focusing on achieving and accomplishing our goals anyway? So do we really care about missing out on that? Probably not. So that's what I want you to do with this. I need you to recognize that, one, for homework, decide if you need to do a digital detox. And if you do, get started tomorrow. Upon listening to this, say, okay, starting tomorrow, and I'm gonna give myself X amount of days. Put X amount of time on it. And if you say 30 days and you realize you can keep going, keep going. But if you're a person that wants to stay connected and you don't want to detox, you have to make sure that you're setting boundaries, that you're putting time limits on your phone, that social media is not all consuming you. You need to have app management. Don't have mindless, distracting apps on your phone just for the sake of it, or just for the sake of not wanting to deal with your problems. And then the last part is going to be, make sure that you have very intentional and focused use of your technology. That's one of the biggest things. If you're going to be on it, you need to have a purpose. With my biggest purpose when it comes to social media is building my businesses and building my brands. And I know that I have a personal social media outside of my businesses, because I recognize that if I woke up tomorrow and no longer wanted to have my businesses, I still have my personal social media. And when it comes to my personal social media, you'll probably notice now, like on Shaanah, Montana, I used to post 3 to 5 times a day. Now I probably post, sometimes you'll see me post like once a day. Sometimes you may see me post twice a day. Sometimes you may see me go 3 days without posting. But that's because I had to find a balance in social media, and I had to have a separation of church and state so I could be intentional about that. And what I mean is that I have the Shaanah Montana journal page. That's where that content goes. I have my relationship page, to be single or not to be. But when it comes to Shaanah Montana, even though I'm the owner and the creator and the more so like the umbrella of it all, it's still a personal page. And I just was tired. I got to the point where I just didn't want to overwhelm myself with social media to the point where it would stop being fun. And once I recognized, like, if I'm not going to have fun with this, if I'm not going to enjoy this, if I'm not going to bring joy to other people through doing it authentically, you know, because I'm not going to be phony about it, then I don't need to do it. And so that caused me to even pull back some with my posting so I could be intentional. And I'm still having the same growth. I'm still having the same engagement. I'm still having a great time on social media because I've done the work to build a community to get to where I am now. And it's continuing to grow and thrive. But in the midst of it growing and thriving, I understand that if social media went away tomorrow, I would still be okay. I can still run my businesses outside of social media because I have a website, I have a mailing list, I'm on the necessary platforms. I built my brand in that way intentionally. But outside of that, social media is not all consuming to me, because I get this social media is just a world that we have that's on the other side of the screen, where people are showing us, for the most part, their highlights with a little bit of the L's they take, and that's okay. But I recognize that I have to be intentional and focused with how I use social media, and that's what you have to do as well. So you have to, you know, outside of getting on there to be nosy, and that's okay too. I ain't judging if you're on social media just to be nosy. That's fine if that's your thing, because not everybody's a business owner and everybody's not supposed to be a business owner. But if you are on there just to be nosy, okay, pull back on your nosiness if that's what you're doing. But if you're on here for like business purposes or fun purposes, that's fine as well. But make sure that you have a balance, that you are intentional about, you know, even what you're taking in on social media. You know, what pages are you following? What pages are you engaging with? What's popping up on your explore page? What are you putting into yourself by being on social media? Hopefully it's not the craziness that pops up on the shade room all the time. Hopefully you have curated your algorithm, which means, you know, the stuff that comes up in your feed to be something that brings you joy and happiness and puts a smile on your face most of the time. But be intentional and focused with your technology usage when it comes to social media, when it comes to those other apps that you're using to be distracted, when it comes to the notifications and sounds that you always have going off, when it comes to the things that you are doing on those phones and those tablets and those computers. Make sure that you just have a very high awareness enough to know that this is serving me or it's not serving me, and I need to do something different. And I absolutely gotta do something different if I want 2024 to look any different than 2023 did. So I hope that you all can decide, and let me know in the comments what you're gonna do. You gonna detox from social media? You gonna take a little break, or you gonna keep it going, but you're gonna find balance in the midst of it all? But also let me know if you're a person that realizes that you might be slightly addicted to social media, and that's okay too, because right now I'm here to help you to wean you off of it and get you to the promised land. So signing off, yours truly. Until next time, Shaanah Montana.